All right, hello YouTube. Today we are going to be tying a Euro style Prince Nymph. This is a classic pattern, but with a little bit of a twist. We're going to be tying it on a size 12 jig hook with a 3.2 millimeter slotted bead. So it's going to be a little bit larger of a fly. Again, you can tie it in a variety of sizes. You can tie it in a 14, a 16, and then vary the size of the bead. But for today, we're gonna tie it a little big. We're gonna make it put in again a size 12 jig style hook with a heavy 3.2 millimeter slotted bead. I will go through the materials as I tie today, and I also list the materials in the description. So for our thread, I'm going to use olive, UTC 70 denier olive. You could certainly use a brown, a black, any dark color really is going to be fine. But I'm going to get started just by getting some thread behind the bead just to kind of lock that bead in a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of a taper, and then I'm just going to work that down to the bend of the hook. All right, the next material we're going to use is the tail, and we're going to use a Goose Biot in like an amber color. You can use a brown color. Some people use a darker color for this. I use this color for some stoneflies, so the golden stone. So I'm going to be using this again for my Prince Nymph. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take two of these off, and I'm going to tie those in as the tail. Now, some people tie these in at the same time. I'm going to be a little bit more deliberate today and just tie them in one at a time. So you'll notice with these, there is a little bit of a natural curve to them. What you want to do, I always tie the one on the outside first, and I'll measure it. I want it to be about the length of the hook itself. And I'm just going to do a pinch wrap, and I'm going to tie this in just 2 turns just to kind of lock it in. And now I'm going to bring the other one. And again, I'm going to make sure that natural curve is kind of curving away. We'll do the opposite thing when we tie in the wing. But that way, the tail kind of splays out like that, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to tie that in, just secure that in with a few turns there. And okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ribbing in. The traditional Prince Nymph usually uses like a tinsel, which is fine, like a mylar tinsel in gold. I'm going to use just a Brassie, I'll show it to you here, Brassie UTC wire. If you have heavy would be fine. I'm going to use something that's going to just hold a little bit, secure the Peacock that I'm going to use here. So I'm going to just tie that in. I place that in the slot of the bead and do some thread wraps. Now, normally with a lot of my flies, I'm really trying to stay with a thinner profile. The Prince Nymph is a little bit of a bulkier fly by nature, so I'm okay with having some extra thread wraps in there. Now, the body is going to be Peacock, okay? Peacock curl. So I'm just going to take a single strand. You can certainly double up if you want it to be a little thicker. I do like to keep the body just with one strand, and this is pretty delicate stuff, so you want to be careful. But I'm going to just tie that in, start with a pinch wrap, and just tie it up to the bead. I'm going to snip that off. All right, at this point, I'm going to use the slot of the bead. I'm going to put my thread into the slot of the bead and hang that off of my cradle. And very gently, I'm going to use the rotary feature, and I'm going to wrap. Just watch that point of the hook. This is a lot like pheasant tail. It will break. It is brittle. But I'm going to wrap that peacock curl all the way up to the bead. When I get up to the bead, I'm going to do an extra wrap. Just tie once around, once, twice. I'm going to come in front, and that is locked in. All right. So again, I'm going to put the thread in the slot of the bead, keep tension on that, hang it on the cradle. And now I'm going to wrap my wire. But again, I want to do that the opposite way. I want to counter wrap, and that's going to really lock in the peacock curl. Just do nice, slow, even turns. Take that all the way up to the bead. All right, and now that's really locked in. All right, so just the same way I did once, twice, and once in front. Tighten that up, and then helicopter the wire. All right, the next step, I like to build a little bit of a dubbing base for this next step so that the wings prop up. So I'm going to be using just some ice dub in black. You could use other colors here if you want. I'm just using the black, and I'm going to tie just a really, really thin noodle, ice dubbing noodle. So I get that clump, see, I get that clump in my forefingers, and then I break it in half, and I just get a nice tight noodle. I don't want it real bulky. I just want to put a little bit of material to prop up the wings in there. So I'm going to come around. That's going to add just a little bit of a base up top. Now for the next thing, I'm going to be using Goose Biot, again, white Goose Biot, and kind of the same thing that you did for the tail, except this time you're going to tie it in just a little differently. So let me just cut 2 of these off. All right, this time you want that natural curve to go inward, not outward. So as the tails splay out here, and I'm going to bring it back just to the start of the tail. I was a little short there. I'll try this again. Okay, there we go. And again, I like to keep it on the side. Some people put them up on the top. That's fine. I like to keep the white on the side because these jig styles do ride upside down. So I want the fish to be able to see those white wings whatever way it's turned. So again, you're making sure the curve is going inside. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And again, lock that in there. All right, now you're going to use your scissors. And you snip that away. Okay, so you get to see what that looks like on both sides. Again, if you really want the white wings to ride up top, that's fine. Again, I'm just trying to make a Euro style kind of variation. All right, the next part, I'm going to be using just some brown hen hackle. I tied a really small feather there, and I'm just going to be tying that in. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet my fingers a little bit. I'm going to brush it back so all the barbs are kind of doing that. And then I'm going to tie it in at the tip. So I'm going to just tie it in on my side. A couple turns there. And then I'm going to use my hackle. Just probably 1 or 2 turns of this is all you're going to need. And as you're doing that, I do like to try to stroke them backward. Okay. All right. It's a little messy, but we'll clean it up here in a second. All right. So got that secured in. Got that secured. I'm gonna snip that. All right, so I've got just a little bit of sparse hackle. I don't like to overdo it here with the hackle. I also do this sometimes with some CDC. All right, so the last step then is I'm just going to take a little bit more of this black ice dubbing, and just make a collar just to fill that little gap. Want that nice and tight. That also helps to push the hackle back a little bit as well. Yeah, some stray fibers in there. And then just for some durability, I'll take my bodkin with some UV glue. And that's what I will use to put in my whip finish. All right. Hit it with the infinity light just to lock it in. All right, so there you have it. That is the Euro style Prince Nymph. I like these bigger. I generally tie these in 50s and 12s and 14s. These tend to be the heavier flies in my box. You can tie them down to, as small as 18, it'll be fine. But this is the size that I like to tie. I also think the bigger ones show up a little bit better in the video. So hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something. Please make sure that you are checking out troutstrike.com. There's quite a bit of content on the website and trying to grow the YouTube channel as well. So we just got up over 200 subscriptions. So thank you, all my current subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. So I hope everybody has a great day, and make sure you're getting out on the water.